So Black History Month to me is a time to reflect on all of the ways that Black people have created the path to this world that we live in now through our struggle and beyond. And that is in the stories of folks that everybody knows: Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. But it's also in the stories of the Black folks who aren't in our history books, which we know aren't generally written by folks who look like us. It's in the story of my mother. It's in the story of my grandmother. And so I use this month to celebrate on all of those stories and also on what I'm doing now to create a world that I want my children to live in and their children to live in. Black Boy at a Time is my story as one of 19 children with a Black Muslim father and a Black Hindu mother, coming to terms with my queerness, moving to New York, starting my career in film and TV and journalism, and getting involved in activist communities here, particularly around prison and police abolition. But it's also a story of healing. It's about healing that took place between my mother before she passed and myself. She was the most foundational person when it came to what it meant to love in my life. And she was also the person who hurt me the most that I love. And so it tells the story of how we reconciled that. It's also about the healing that I had to do internally. Half of the book is written to my younger self through a reflection of the inner child work I was doing in therapy at the time. I think that work really brought out some of the healing that I needed to do with my mother as well. And it's also about the healing that Black folks do in community with one another. And I think this all just ties everything back together with my abolitionist perspective that the book was written from. If we're going to replace prison and police in our communities, then we have to have a lot of healing work that is going to be done in order for folks to feel safe. And so this was me modeling what that healing work could look like, modeling what healing can look like when two people have harmed one another, and extrapolating upon that on what I believe could be a freer future for all of us if we do that work to heal one another and heal in our families and heal in our communities and heal ourselves. One of the literary devices that I use in the book is the self-epistolary form. Half of the book is written to my younger self. And that's something that I was added into the book very late into the process. I was struggling with some of the more uncomfortable stories and also with not fully remembering my younger perspective on these things and not wanting to write so definitively about experiences that I didn't remember fully. And that was leading to a lot of a lack of vulnerability in my writing that was very harmful to the book, I would think. And I started doing inner child work in therapy around that time because the book was bringing up all of these traumas in my childhood. And so that was one of the ways that we tackled it. But I was able to take that whole theory and put it in the book. And I did that after reading Kiese Lehman's Heavy, which he writes in epistolary form to his mother throughout the book, which I thought was just really beautiful in the ways that it allowed for him to be vulnerable. And in some ways, it was like modeling what I would hope the reader would do, is offer me some grace while they are reading this story. I first had to do that to my younger self. And that, I think, just took the book to a whole new level. And I think that speaks to my writing style, which I haven't really described before in words, but I think something that's really critical to all of my writing is the ability to be vulnerable with knowing that the world is not always safe for folks like me to be vulnerable. And so walking that balance, but inviting people in enough so that you are comfortable with them helping you along this journey that might be difficult for you.